This client asked for a biomech on his shoulder blade. At first I thought that it was too small to create a good biomechanical. But anyway, I set the appointment, I met him live, and we discussed his project. Basically, he was impressed from my previous work on the back of another of my clients. He wanted something similar, but not so strong, not so full of blood and laceration on the flesh. And so, discussing with him, I thought, okay, maybe we could do something like a mutation of your skin, of your flesh, something alien that is affecting your flesh, creating this kind of hole in your body where we can see the structure, the bone structure of your body, but of course that structure will be something let's say like a cyborg. But the problem was that in the area that he wanted this tattoo, there is the shoulder blade, and the shoulder blade should be thick and not thin. So the idea of making a structure representing the shoulder blade so thin, I didn't like it very much. Like, I like the idea that in the shoulder blade there is some kind of hole where you can see the space, because the basic idea was that in the hole between let's say the bone structure, you could see the space. It's a nice idea, I have to say. Nice idea, nice, let's call it symbol of something inside of you that is more than just flesh and bones, but something more also spiritual, if you want. Anyway, the shoulder blade was too thin, and I thought about something thicker than this little structure. But he said, okay, but we can think that the metal of these bones is so heavy, so strong, that it can be also thin. Okay, let's do this way. Let's try to make him happy. So I started designing the structure, and of course all this kind of, let's call it, mutation of the flesh to create this hole in his body. But about the ribs, well, actually you couldn't see the ribs in this way as I draw them, because especially the last ribs are quite small, and so you should be able to see just a little part of them, and probably also the part in front and whatever. But let's say that we took an artistic license to change the structure, the inside structure. Anyway, it's a work of fantasy, is in some ways also abstract, so well, he was happy this way. So okay, I said, let's try to do this, and we'll see where we go with this design. So I started drawing the part that I like the most. I decided to work on paper and not on computer at first, because well, maybe I'm an old school guy, but I love drawing on paper or on canvas. Well, I think there is something more in a traditional art than in digital art. Digital art is always, I don't know, kind of cold. I prefer to do it on paper. It gives you some emotions that the digital art cannot communicate. I don't know how to say, but when you see a printed work, a digital printed work, it doesn't matter how good it is always something exactly cold, while a sketch on paper is always I don't know. Anyway, I did a modification here because, of course, thinking about the mutation of the flesh, I thought, okay, if the flesh is mutating around a structure, in this case the shoulder blade, it would tend to follow the structure of that anatomical part. So I changed a little bit the work, and then I scanned my work and I color it on my computer, because I would love to do also the coloring in traditional way, but of course I don't have much space in my studio and not even at home. So I don't have a table where I can leave my work with all the paint and brushes and so on there until I end work. And I could not every day clean my desk, put over again my work, start all over again with the colors, brushes and so on. So of course working in digital is convenient for me. That part is a part that I changed, because you can see it looks almost like a hand. It can be interesting, but I didn't like it, so I changed that part in the lower section of the design. Here I start coloring in digital, and sometimes it's faster, but well, for some reason it's faster, for something is faster, but not as much as you can think, because of course when you work in digital you can do a lot of modification of your work, change the color, change the tone, do another modification, go forward, go back. So you do a lot of work that probably on paper you wouldn't do, because of course you should redo your work from the start if you want to change something. On digital you have the chance to change whatever you want. And about the space, I made it in the simplest way you can do it. Just I searched for images with my client, and we found the best image that meet his requirements, his idea, and the color tone of the work. So we just use a picture for the space. And well, maybe it's not so original, maybe it's not so artistic, but anyway, it's also so simple that probably I could have done it by myself. But anyway, I think that is so abstract and so personal, the image that everybody has in his mind about the space, that creating it by myself, probably I could enter in that kind of area where you do something and your client continuously asks for changes because it's not the idea of space that he has in mind. So I think that this was the most convenient way to create the space and move forward with the design. For sure it's not my favorite. I would prefer to do something bigger, maybe his entire back, something more articulate, more elaborate, and also more coherent with the structure of the body. But anyway, sometimes you have to make compromises with your client if you want to work, and so that's what I did. As you can see, the shoulder blade is in the right position, but as you can see, the internal part, the ribs, are not where they should be. But anyway, he liked it, and we were perfectly aware of this situation, so that's what it is. And anyway, when you stand up, it's not so strange to look at this design. And here you can see the first sitting. In the first sitting, I was able to trace all the outline. Some outline are exactly outlines, other lines are just soft lines that I did just as a reminder of shadows and where to put everything. Sometimes I work this way, some other time I use just some very light gray to trace all the outline. So I have my design in place, like let's call it like a pencil drawing on the skin, so that after the first sitting I can go on making all the contrast colors and so on. Of course I do this basically for biggest project, not for this stuff. Oh, and I forgot that there is also a little cover-up up there. I forgot about that cover-up, but anyway, there was also this cover-up. And I recorded only the first sitting, because the second sitting is not that I didn't record it, but I set up the camera, I set up everything, because I use Hearing webcam and OBS that allow me to record my video without worrying about how much space is left in my iPhone and so on. So everything that I record goes straight in my computer. But that time, for the second sitting, for some reason the connection between the two faded away after, I don't know, probably a few minutes. So there's no recording of the second sitting. It wasn't a difficult tattoo, apart from the fact that whenever I do something like this, and I had the same kind of I wouldn't call it problem, let's say situation with the back of the other of my client. When I do something like this kind of stuff, like mutation of the flesh, scars, and stuff like that, until the very end of my work, I feel insecure. I'm there, like I'm doing it right. It doesn't look like marmalade or something like that until the end. So it was interesting, let's say, this kind of work. In the first sitting I did all the outline and all the external part, and probably, if I remember well, maybe also the bones, or maybe not, I don't remember, probably not. And in the second sitting I did the bones and the inside part of the tattoo, the space, let's call it. And it was anyway interesting as a work. It is not the work that I love the most, but anyway I find it interesting. That's why I'm sharing it with you. And in a bit you will see the tattoo after, if I remember well, about 1 or 2 months, when it's perfectly healed and settled. So subscribe the channel, click the bell, and see you the next time. Bye bye.